Yeah, it's A. This is Debbie Nez Manuel. I am the Executive Director for Human Resources. Really glad to join you all here today and to give you share some information. I think one of the most important things that we're doing here in Human Resources is really impacting our communities. But before I go there, yat A she A Sanja Kinin Shle Tetna Bethni Bushes Chin Tetna Jenny Dasha Che Kabahan Dashanale Lay Twa Dan Ayusadat Nasha. I want to make sure I take time to acknowledge all of our veterans who are out there listening, to our fire departments, to our public safety, to all of our medical staff who are working really hard today in the hospital systems, emergency rooms. I just want to say thank you to everybody for being there for our communities. I want to acknowledge our council, our leadership, who are really working hard on budgets and preparing us for the budget meetings that will be happening next week. And thinking about next week, I really want to introduce my deputy, Nathaniel Brown, who is also former council delegate Nathaniel Brown from the 24th Council. He's here to share information and updates about our chapter, professional development training that we have next week at Twin Arrows. So with that, I'll hand that over to him. And thank you so much for joining us this week and learning a little bit more about what we're doing here.
Yad shik edoshitna say I need question date Nathaniel Brown hun she troba hunch le dan hot so da shama chbk ado look a bashin le to the next je thinki card halia ada she ado ki ani e ya dash masan dash che ado azashana e ya dash nale ado kwegi e ya tara hot zanden kich at the hilne shik edoshitna Nikenand Kwegi President Dr. Buu Nygren Ehut Abelindelish Adoshama Madam Vice President Rochelle Montoya Koho Kodia Dia get at yo Kinanish Eben Delish Dot Ka Nature Ado Ahwiche Eya Kinand Kut Ayankich Hanatze Di Denehik Ain Lady Ketahat any A Ade Kaishna di bontoban natani trata. Ashronde e a de beso ba da le ado di nan nishadat e danke de no hat a benkich e at ke e ba hensen ado aslahi date shik e do shidne e etza slag e kut an kinant a genkich a hanatze din hit de ne bandach nish ne hit de ne la hashin so hajo ba deinsen kit no ko e bino e dit do khataha a hoya nature ho ad dit a elkiln dahil netla a ko di kwegi e the modo na kiskau e argent le and da jonsh argent le twin arrows the ai ya hi kato le e di de tra nas na lini e ya e na kha a il neto le tra nas nan a large das da edo de can't das da edo de dinal so sich ini edo de ya tra nas nan hog es da netle ya ado de bebenant do di dark epic e dest edo di ke ya dal khan lini joy hut a ajelt andas na loy kut anke de nen dal na sia joy khala e an hi kenot ini anke nant a lo ada da hallo e tra nas nel dan lini e hut abeln dal na shinle a ko e bahwil a di kha ish ol ya khaled a di den del nstol le di da ba khata do listan ke no e a di ya hi khato le twin arrows le a ko ek ai ta els ayu khata do la ko binda allen ana da ya da dil khal els kho hat de bin e ya na kidneys na din do ba an aslatini kunet la na kho a ko e di da shanala ni kit a hat zige ya Hashil sodit a bendahit ado kut a big ia delt kio besin delt nishi e ada ya hi kato lel kwegi Tuesday go the modo na kiskam a ko e ya di ha ela ba hanne di tsenige e ya hajo eskesin da dil nashti tra nas nele ado besh mahasa an ado kujo wode ha wanje e kut anat ani e kut a jodi ba da yo ni look at khan delnish a ko e kut a aji ya hi kato le ado lada hata do lage ila pa nahat ila nya ya nane che ta to nini jo ya di de best ha shine la nan te ya ngi cho hata ya ado di de nan nishin linik a beso edar ne ya ha shine la ta yo ben anish of course ik edo se de nedi ashwonde di nikinant ado khashine la nikidenen khandal nish ajat kha nas nildan lini ado saladan le zel en ado pata oltra khashine la di hut dal nish sha hehet abato ni do le ashwonde khala edi la allahi tat ni la le entahasti Allahagi that it's agedi atkin nia ado di hawan nan nish ado tro ado that they stu na a kondik at jonon ken that the joton ken da haltkin eshi hehedi ni do le ya di kwedi in the net ilsan ni yank slido yank khatos but linear but henitsen ado di de kwegi e ya adit alkin ne khatole dik adige ya nahat an lini bakata adoti la ankena nish adat any ajput abikes so di belin dale nishigi jo nihin dal nishigi ya hui jinkena nish dal ben nach ya allahi dit bakata ne say they haja Navajo Nation di not ani haisha puntanke plans ishina da bakata kut bakadel ne adonde na de zedo na kidat na de zedo idita ada eltso din kenant aya betya hikatole ebeni nadit khaila beniye khaila pana khanke no ji kwa din khana ho da isnot ado nle behne da dit abeta hanegi yakut betahil netle ko edin danke dol kidigi ek akwegi be hat hanets khala edin ki ke hazat an ya yon troya nahan da algo hashine la trocho ind ko kehen ke de snido la chik edos den landa ba khazat zihinde diat na ol kelto ashkhonde da holyando na khachendo na khamasa ne ke cheban na da notra kehen ke de snido la to san lini ba kehni tsendi de kwen ken da haltkinigi shi bank trayada hot etolel do kwege ahol tsogo kwege shi enki dini dole to ashidit askesin dahil ne dole eke da holya
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Effie Edsity. I'm the new executive director up at Navajo Tax Commission. I'm Kiani, born for Tapaha. I'm originally from Noshchivy, New Mexico. Go Badgers. Educationally, I graduated high school from Newcomb, New Mexico. So go Skyhawks. For college, I got my Bachelor's of Science and MBA through UNM in Albuquerque. I started my professional career with the Navajo Nation, with the Navajo Tax Commission, actually back in 2007. I worked there until 2017 as a tax compliance officer. So for 10 years, I was helping the Navajo Nation collect and administer the Navajo Nation's 9 business taxes. From there, I went over and did about a year of auditing with Auditor General. I have some accounting experience after that with NTUA. And for the past 4 years, I was executive administrative assistant for one of the hospitals in Gallup, RMCH, Rehoboth McKinley. That was an experience. I worked with the CEO there and all of C-suite, also the board of directors. So that was some really great experience there. And the Navajo Tax Commission I saw had advertised for the executive director position. I applied. I thought I'd throw my hat in there and see where I landed. And I'm very humbled. very thankful for the opportunity to serve the Navajo Nation as Executive Director for the Navajo Tax Commission. So that is some information about me, where I'm coming from. I do have some tax updates. Just to give you a general idea on what we were collecting. So taking a look at our sheet here, so this is going to be the total for the past 3 quarters that have been collected by the Navajo Tax Commission. So for sales, non-retail, to date we've collected $53 million. The tobacco tax, $136,000. Possessory interest tax, we're at $21 million for the year. Oil and severance, $5.9 million. Business activity tax, $8.5 million. The fuel excise tax, we're up to date. We are at $10 million. The hotel occupancies tax, $1.1 million. Sales tax, 9.8, and this is for retail, 9.8 million. Junk food tax, we are at 1.7 million. The alcohol tax, 36,000. So that brings our total to date for total tax collection for the past 3 quarters at 112,758,273. So it looks like we have met our projections for tax collection in over half of our taxes. We do have some work to do in some areas. Tobacco tax, we need to pick it up, and also in the fuel excise tax. So that's our a little brief overall view of our tax revenue collection. And then going forward, I do have some upcoming projects that I'm working on. Our tax department, I'm trying to fill our vacant positions right now. I do have a couple of positions for tax compliance, our tax compliance department, and also the audit department and the minerals and valuations department. To be fully staffed, I believe we would totally increase our collections of monies, and we will be able to provide more education and trainings for departments and taxpayers. And this is all around. The Navajo Tax Commission administers 9 business taxes for the Navajo Nation. That's one of my projects. The second one I am working on is filling our vacant positions on our Navajo Tax Commission. We currently have 2 members, but I am looking to recruit 3 more to get us a full commission. And the purpose for the commission is to receive suggestions and guidance on our tax laws, and to make changes to help administer some of the new taxes coming on. There are talks about a solar tax. The chapter tax ordinance also is out there that we need to familiarize ourselves with, and to see how that is going to be administered. So that is a couple of the items I'm working on. And I also would like to thank the Navajo Tax Commission Department itself. Thank you to the staff and the department for all of their hard work and their expertise. We have quite a few employees there who've been there well over 20 years, and they are subject matter experts in their fields. And I really do appreciate what they do for the department and for the Navajo Nation. So that's a couple of my updates and things that I am working on. Let's see, what else can we go over? So we have some projections for our upcoming 4th quarter. I don't seem to have those numbers here. So let's take a look at our projections. For the sales non-retail, we have met our projection by 117%, so we're on target there. As mentioned before, the tobacco tax we're a little behind on, and we need to get caught up in that. We're at 45%. Pit tax, we're just about on target for that. We're collecting up to 94% of what we had projected. Severance tax, we have met our projection on that. We're at 149%. Business activity tax, that one, we had met our projection already for the year. The fuel excise tax, we're at 78%. We do need some work on that one to get us closer to what we had projected. The hotel occupancy tax, we are doing very well in. Sales retail, we're at 82%. We do need some work on that area to make sure we meet our projection for the year. Junk food tax, we're on target there, and same for the alcohol tax. We're at about 40%. We do need some work on that area too. And so that is my weekly. My weekly update for Navajo Tax Commission. I hope and wish all of you well. Take care of each other. And hopefully we will be able to get, I'll be able to present another update next week. So have a great day, and be safe, everyone.
Yacht in Hilini the mosquitoes gonna yacht a for again and Dr. Buu Nygren who's now with Thursday gonna get a nasty to Netigido, Nanisviki, had a shaggy idiot Hodo, which now we just immediately Seneca Nation, other in this other not sounding like his come other had the Shah, though they base ones on the land, the Queen, base ones on the Lenigi. Arab cut the car when they never Washington Department of Interior aja yanda nasi base or those loud or put a bit like don't so catching yet os kaida AI is been yet other kadi carton that in carton the quick seems to be changed to the negi to hot oh yada been nachi chunki the never none and to base on it's then given in nachi ya as yego which are the Benyakadi Kai Aro scout in the Yokon, been down 9 o'clock, the groundbreaking at Nenegi. If he added or they say, horses in this, the other Shayo, Benda, he added Santa Pegosi, Yat in the hidden this so other. Aroya, the Anatin, the Hajuna, anything, the getting national. I'll tell you, this month, the upcoming holidays, the appreciation days, August is National Wellness Month. It's as a year, they could often give it in a data of here. Joe issues on Nico, Nanisto, the Queen was indicate cut the shot and of sender. They get set at 100 and ski stone sack, stone Juno, not in Kosho. A Nehido, they cut Noda. They are seeing Yego, Hayanigi. She made us need to let Arona Kigon a local announcement. They never care of a car, see Yego, they still giving in a chido, the Hodek, Anto, Hajota, Kaya, because this in Nenegi, she asked Yego, because not into fireworks that Hegida, to Bada Hosiando, Hajo, because not into Hajoto, Nenegi Joe. The Navajo Forestry Department either reported 112 fires. The Kuigashita Hotel, no, Bini Nachafi Yego, Tahaya, and the Sinzinigi. 99 of the 112 were human caused fires. Every Nachafi Yego, the Hosiado, Arado Kondo, so 13 of the 112 lightning in natural that I don't see how what it's Zeta Benita Hodo, Natigivi Nacha, Diego, Bada Hostiando, Ahoyan, Kaya, the dog, Sahigin in Nacha, if it not eat only Navajo Health Education Program is teaching about dealing with heat. Asian Ajin Navajo Department of Education this Asian radio that is the house here todan da clean to hold cargo 9 cups of water on that clean to asi o this stew go todan da 5 cups per hour but no only caffeine no sugar that eggy just all this stew in the water fish in the asi da house yando chili as though Macedon, Echad, Arab, Chide, in the house, Kana, Asio, Ada Hodina, they stew and left in the natural, even in Asia, Dada Hotia, they stew, given in natural Ado, some announcements around Arizona that President Biden, after Diego, baby, Chile, Grand Canyon, then you protect Grand Canyon. Everything Asia Diego, not supposed to have a release of antiquities and this income. Grand Canyon uranium that Hegi to for the dot needs to be not so such a hated or leaf. I don't share for the cases. Oh, now we got to way. They never cave a cow it or the needs in the it's so that Hegi. Adonle Pandora Mark, congratulations, Diego. Principal of the Year, New Mexico. Ada kahot so just Diego, but all do chinyas but all kagi. The hand can be Nadine the Pandora Mark. Mike San Diego and Action do Central Consolidated Schools cutting cutting nache aja katnan nishoda see had the list October see trophy nan I give him see Diego but the nache get kayada hot Italy see what Sabbath middle school did not idea hand in you gonna Pandora Mike ado immediately back to school torture. They seem to need youth complex until 3 p.m. Backpacks, no supplies without egg and chindo conduct or jet at the soda. I see that face about that then go. Asian Adi, that is Yana 3 clubs, Asian Adi do it. I don't know for the now juice that Diego, the net in the Hoyato, Hajisi, that's Kadano. We are at the Mona or place on there Thursday on them. Ben gets Nashne. For the seat or Hashit 8 or what end this week. So I got 8 or Ben gets now this. She is 16-year-old Kanan Bazi, 15-year-old Jaden Yaz, 76-year-old Leroy at City. Had up and then Kahan had up next camp. She became you see now that any because there's any muddle but Jadash had up next camp. Though she got 100 how what in the highest Tanigi. A hot on thing, if now snappery. Out of what's happening in the world, yeah, and if a manahas samba cargo, I let all the whole gesto, I let all the joy. I see Jacob by Atigate, it's Stewie, and this week is 62.9 degrees global. And set a new record. Especially in the Sassy, Stewie, in the Sassy, Jacob. Tashike that the play on na closidad tagido aho yanda that no tafigi bini nachishia asita haya Phoenix and 31 days of heat over 110 degrees Isha Diego record na de Horoshiban sa hakesa ta hotiando haida da jodo le nenigi out of the never cave kada and July 25th and emergency declaration dia Diego de stu even match Isha sita haya na hot air ano tingo ne ben nash ne this time in history. 157 years ago, in 1866, the first indigenous scouts in the U.S. military, the Army. They were the Navajo Scouts in San Diego. Set in Nasa Lots, told as Lady Navajo Scouts. No, they never. Never been we was in a head a hot oh they seem to those in the think the kid and this car to hard the thing not this crazy and not and many had days the necessary Diego but I saw clean the air oh the first U.S. Indian Scouts in Navajo. This time in history, August 1st, 1866, Navajo sentence of the week. You have to win in your mind before you win in your life. She put on sa case Nancy case extension or nation zo. Every kid ina an lehegi shi be hodni sne e hoto Navajo sentence of the week. Although this week's accomplishment and the Americans with Disability and the Navajo Nation Council they basically another sustained base of the Queen system so that 13.3 million year and so set that initiative general services I done that called in the Hale all the same for to the next year now Kahiki housekeeper knowledge that any that thing so based on his name that the never cable cow can does never get a short cheat of those needs that of nene if that is nest or Hodina Goshinka Doyat and it's that those needs and the other queen so you're in nature you have one dog in the hazard and never the base of now but her name hot end with the these nest opening that's as a yego as tweet or sunny don't to the net and then get that any bit cheese which in has vida a yego but get a neat door because of it was no we're going to have ADA upgrades all across the Navajo Nation starting very soon. I don't need the council approve building codes across the Navajo Nations and the count and sounds is the card they sleep or they land they sleep. They would also say, yeah, kanda, or Navy building codes. Many they never cable car, they never Washington, can that Navy has all. I say, yeah, has all than Halon that Navy, a hot oil of one hat either. No, is she Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton, Yankee, Sado, based on has only. Yeah, not the same, but in that other country, she is come. I want to non saw if you had a 700 Sunday. Is it the car dish? I don't lay windmills that I get a see big she does see to the bed to the let me send the shan here to that cloud. I see Yego. Shinde host enemy na Sanada, Bishna Passados to Todda he, even in that. Here, how I said, she had not a hot end that I see Yego that shot even in a this week and last week in kitchen home obviously the president the Yego and then he are the basement and maybe coming Western Agency Preston Mason asking Yego when they're each one and has JD please notion H and then I see Yego he had the Department of Water Resources the now Khandaz Nishki Kahan Kadini, the Cuba City Water Resources Field Officer, Kahatoli, Asiego, a Cheda Flagi, the nature Hitchda, and all Honda Haki, Kahan Kadini, the Ado Honana Italy, as the ship has Anagi, down Quidishibi and Gitanasti, Kadat, 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock, Yate Shas on the Honda no sound, the Honda Hot of I bet I need to be in Kuhati was to did which I did say to did for them. Miss Nadi Ash for the dot leaf in the ASC Yego. But also says, oh, yeah, so I paid that me. I do need to have auditions. I did. I had that Tuesday and the Winter Rock thing there. She said, they learned not just being like another chapter. ARPA, they Nenegi 1.7 million water line extension. Neziti no depletion, the Nebe Toba the Tobe the Handoro le Nene, a hot oceans at the Christ, the land after thing. Out of another chapter, President Marcelo Roundhorse, they added a Casazona, where she's at the Christ, I thought a hand to Dini, the basement has unvinced James after Diego. I didn't Hana Renegade on your the hiddenness now, but Nash, not a cat or the Vince James. Ado for the morning last week in Washington in Canada. I see Diego before the Joint Economic Committee on to reauthorize and increase the funding for special diabetes programs for all tribal nations. So I see Diego large Nahdon done get somebody now. Hey, Kaya, yon, Sodot, Yubi, this thing, the Nebanon, Arjun, then giving it. I also ask it. Oh, the Queen was asking Diego, the Nebanon that has type 2 diabetes without Hagida. Everything that's other has three, though, what they ask Diego and Journal based on today into down that was sleep. So, had the whole net and then 1997 down. The land that's a thing. But oh, that you're not based on which is nothing. Would end the ability and it on here for the special diabetes based on being 9 days. So, I see Diego for the negative niche about the snow. hot Nada Asking Don Juno, Senator Martin Heinrich, so Senator Mark Kelly, that and gas Diego, if he can da zone, even not as Diego, the Kayada House, Arjuna Ani Washington, the his Ani, the Zohidin, the Ken da zone, your bonnet, Nathan. Although the U.S. Senate also passed an amendment to the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act. The Quigo change the name out of Kaddish Kande, so Banda, although I 79 post 71 that Aggie, Robacada, I yet had notably natural as a Yego, the Kai J. Do Ashon, the Shin Hodina, or not is the Senate Nana Cow, he not a sling, although it should be the Kadoshan U.S. House, Banado. Lana, the Asking, President Biden, G. Kaito, literally post 71 Diego. The never that Eastbound has it was Diego, the Quigo, between the Nanaga, the Kato, what last week, Speaker Curly, the out of the kind of the Quigo, Diego, between the has either that, reaching in that Misty, either that, and get shade on Master and Mother. They added Kadi Kanda as Diego, and kick it the Hodges split. They added that amendment 61 plus vote for Hot and the U.S. Senate as Diego. They came down. The show Hodobe Hanasa as Diego State so long the never cable cardo should they use in start 30 million tons. Out of art and studying how to over cow 60 million tons should they use hot oban case was half the uranium in the U.S. came from the Navajo Nation. Everything that's as Diego done to us send all her job in her time that what the snow everything that you got on now Washington the cut the shot. Hot Edo Hodo, Hado Nan Nistan Sagiban Nada, Nishigi Hodo, Diego, now Hegi Salat, so Nana Hegi, Dona Kidamoyeta, Representative Eli Crane, or Veterans Secretary, that any Tuba City of Sassini, Hado, Hot End, Veterans Administration staff in Hado, Kato Zone, the Elite, and August 16th on the Nana Kadole. Although federal office of budget and management, on Italy, Hazo Halit or the one died, Nito King, that base or die, Netigi, Hazo, that is Kato John died, no, issue holding that August 22nd on them. Although upcoming meet and greet last Friday, or meet and greet last Friday, that is the chief manualito scholar, you Meziting on Nezda. Chindo, the Soke that Aggie Diego, Chief Manualito Scholar, the Diego that hey, Dinado, Mado, Hishibata had any thought. There's none Hagon catching the K not enough. Oh, I say Diego, get a man out on Juno days on the Anishin and the can't thought what if by the salt hit the snow. The other which has 3 other Hodopan case, the never done Anshinigi. Kushina had started it cut the number on Nafe, but now $7,000 a year. Ishaben in that dedicated. ARC Diego, which shut that initially Dodi, though Bishwas under RC Diego, but in the day, so 10,000 a year. We got to live. The Hoda evening, the RC Edesh Hutchins on your evening. Ishaben in that dedicated chief manualito. Although Thursday and Pinda to down the Tribal Interior Budget Council, Seneca Nation, Buffalo, we got the New York, the Adam Yakadika, the Ani Hasti, Base or Dobe has Ani that he has been considered case of the Hoda, the Fleet, or the Lember Cable Cow, Heda on it, and he had no, even the other, reaching to the Shah, and the other upcoming events in the coming week, and it's calm, and maybe Hasti. The Delcon Medical Center grand opening is Friday. The 189 million Congress, U.S. Congress, no, they in the unneeded sit. She added, I don't intuit the query was added to track the kid on the based on undone. Then you can't jay hand to be needed. She's con a shadow out of her jaw, a kicking that would be hot idle. Auto Saturday, Gonana. Making into Arizona, the skate competition, 15th annual skate competition. Out of the Shinto test, send not taste and the Senegal out of the rating cast. Say the Horia, I see Ahoyanda, sit in your court in Nasi Tahoya. I see Diego, no hot end and cast chilling in that Kaigi, the Diego. hodo le tabendo ni fenshi ada tabdo na to khata do le aho yanda ta no ne nation Italy. Next week, next Wednesday, in Navajo Nation Animal Control Vaccinations. August 9th, the counselor, Crystal, Farood, Fayato. August 12th, the Tuba City Coal Mine. The 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Shahada, rabies vaccines, pet license, symptom deworming, microchipping, Macedon, Chaba, Hayanigasi, Ada Bahas Adole, Ado, she to Hajo Teams of his Hodeshnege. August 14th, the Navajo Code Talk, I thought now just a Hodoshiban, this case, what 8 groundbreaking there, what in the base of art, then a groundbreaking of the Chehistone, based on the understanding of base of the Hadal lead Nathan, Kanda, some code talkers, the Hanbonda, that it as hey, I say, been like, which in the home tradition, a bitch holds just the speaker, Damon, but not this, Diego. 50 million that had also that Kanda, code talker, veteran art, and general art, and it because only to the got to live. Yanda, hold on, you never know. We've got a few days left to August 14, but if we can get that done, that'd be a great way to honor our warriors and code talkers. I know we're down to just a few. Kanda honke that, and Kanda hon, that he nahan can bunny, already they use sound based Italy. So, what do you and Dr. Buu Nygren? Stige Hehan Kedini de Rehati, Yegon Gedin Senator in the Nebenant and Hanshaw, which Kadesha, Don Hayesh, Don Hansis case, she came down in the last in the Zgard, the not in the Hodo, the Nebenant and Senigi, artist on Hansis case, Chehita of Menigido, Chehita and Senigi, Eoto, Yat, Eto, Hehan Kedini, the Hodo, I don't lay Apple Podcast, is she holding now? Neck at an attain the Hajin, the never which I understood. He hot air relation. As on days not seen, don't for Massanadon, which she don't remember that any gida. Arahada of Kiss Thursday, I thought was picked on double of me. KTN, KGK, Indian, RACIA got the neck at you. Abinish, Anito, never to understand. Oh, Shah and Kedini, the other, the ne, other sound, other things come. Now, Kadin, Hodina, the Arto, I never came of card the same. Pinda, not kidding, that's out. It never came a cut and I'm a starter at 2 a.m. They hot Italy. So I'll see you all in Delcon if you're there. So I can't have to lift. Oh, hug on it.
Got a Shikedo Shadne. Thank you for the handoff from the president of the Navajo Nation, Dr. Buu Nygren. He's out in the eastern part of the United States. We wish him safety and all good things in his travels in support of everything that we are working for here on the Navajo Nation. Che Stephen Brian Etsidi Dashijine. I am the executive director for the Navajo Nation Environmental Protection Agency. I'm here today to introduce to you my department manager for air and toxics issues, and she's going to be providing some updates on the latest executive order and action taken by the Commission on Emergency Management on Stage 1 fire restrictions, and give you some additional guidance on open burning and how to conduct that safely and follow our procedures here on the Navajo Nation. We are in fire season, so I would like to turn this over to Miss Eugenia Quintana, our department manager for air and toxics from the Navajo Nation Environmental Protection Agency.
Good afternoon. She Eugenia Quintana Yenishia. Na kaiden and Shledo Wana ni Bashichin Tobaha Dashiche Do Kinlichi ni Dashanella. I'm here to impart some information to you. The first will be related to the Stage 1 fire restriction on the Navajo Nation, and the second is about the Navajo Nation open burning regulations. So first, I wanted to just remind everybody, and those of you who are not aware, that there is currently a Stage 1 fire restriction on place for the Navajo Nation, and it was put in place on July 5th, 2023. This important fire restriction is due to high fire danger on the Navajo Nation and the possibility that the fires could get out of control if there is a fire that is started. The stage 1 fire restriction does not allow certain things. It does not allow for people to burn trash. It does not allow for people to light fireworks. It does not allow people to use open fires or charcoal and coal fires outdoors. People can, however, use things like a gas fuel stove if you're in a camping area or a recreational area. The fire restriction also does not allow using a firearm or other incendiary device without a valid permit. Some of the things that are allowed during a stage 1 fire restriction are traditional and cultural fires. People have ceremonies off and on, and those types of fires are allowed, and those, however, must be registered. Right now, there is a very, very high danger of fire on the Navajo Nation. There is a great concern about the number of human-caused fires that are started, particularly from burning trash. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is Navajo Nation open burning regulations. The Navajo Nation does have open burning regulations, and these regulations were put in place to protect the health and safety and general welfare of the residents of the Navajo Nation. During burn bans, such as the Navajo Nation Order of Fire Restrictions and Stage 1 fire restrictions, all agricultural and recreational burns are restricted. And by agricultural, I mean burning weeds. Sometimes people want to burn weeds. And recreational burns are open campfires at various places on Navajo. Those are considered recreational burns. When fire restrictions are not in place, people can burn their trash. However, they need to have a permit to do so. The most important thing to remember is that when people want to burn their trash, they have to be eligible to get a burn permit to burn that trash. The main thing that they have to look out for to make them eligible is that they have to live more than 10 miles from a location, such as a transfer station or open top bin. So if people live farther out than 10 miles from a transfer station or open top bin, they are eligible to receive a burn permit to burn their trash. Some other burn activities that do not require an open burn permit are things like agricultural burns, when people would like to burn their weeds. And I also mentioned traditional and recreational burn activities. These are very important, particularly at this time on the Navajo Nation. When there is a stage 1 fire restriction, people should not be burning their trash. It is very easy for an incident like burning trash to get out of control. It not only harms our areas, it can put people's lives in danger, and the fire can spread so quickly. It causes a lot of response, emergency response into the area, and a lot of these things are preventable. So what I'm asking everybody is to really be cognizant, really be open-minded about how you handle yourself during these stage 1 fire restrictions. Thank you very much. If you would like more information about the Navajo Nation open burn regulations, I strongly encourage you to do one of two things, or two things exactly. The first one is that you can go online to www.navajoepa.org and see the site here where it spells out a lot of information on the Navajo Nation open burn regulations. It gives a listing of elements where things that are allowable to burn, and it also another listing of things that are prohibited on the Navajo Nation. There is also another section about voluntary registration of certain burn activities. The voluntary registration of these burn activities means the registration is voluntary. You are not required to have an actual burn permit. So the voluntary registration extends to things like traditional and cultural burn activities, recreational burn activities, and agricultural burn activities. When our air quality control programs receive a registration voluntary burn, we share that information with our forestry department. It alerts other forestry and emergency response in the area. It lets them know where these burns are occurring, so that in the event that there is a burn that is occurring, we know where the emergency response resources should be sent to. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yat a Kim Russell in Shia, Twitch Nisha, Tatnazani Bashes Chi, my Ideshki Dashache, Twitch Dasha. Happy to be here with you all again today. It's always a pleasure to share with you the different things that we're doing within the Navajo Department of Health. I'm a fairly new department director with the tribe here, and I've been here about 5 weeks, and there's just so many different things that our various divisions and programs are up to. So I wanted to just share with you, at least for this week, some of the things that we've focused on this week. So we have 3 different divisions within the Navajo Department of Health: our behavioral health division, our aging and long-term care support division, and then also our public health division. So a very broad department. And the area that we focused a lot these past couple of weeks is really health professional recruitment and retentions. When you think about health and health promotion, health prevention, healthcare, you think about, the providers that need to provide those services. And within the Navajo Department of Health, we have 2 very main divisions: Department of Behavioral and Mental Health Services, and then our Kayenta Public Health Nursing Program. And they require healthcare professionals who have a bigger, greater training standards. So for instance, our behavioral health providers, various levels of providers, whether they're clinical social workers, marriage and family therapists, counselors, or peer support specialists. There's all different types of providers that are needed to provide behavioral health services to our people. And we know there's a huge need on our reservation for behavioral health services across our nation, across population groups, across age groups. And so we have that division. We also have our Kayenta Public Health Nursing Program. And I learned recently that the program has very few nurses, which is of a concern to me, and a lot of community health workers. But the really great thing that I learned about the Kayenta Public Health Nursing Program is that majority of our community health workers that are within that program are Navajo. A lot of young ladies who want to aspire to continue their education. And had a really great success story that came out of this program just recently that I learned of. One of our community health workers actually applied to nursing school and got accepted. So we're really proud of her for wanting to continue her education, and also being able to take that next step and be that higher level healthcare provider that we need within that particular program. Nationwide, we have a lot of health professional shortages nationwide. So when you look at more rural and tribal areas like our nation, that need is even greater. There's also the challenge we have in terms of recruiting and retaining providers. A lot of the times our pay scales aren't competitive with other providers like the Indian Health Services or providers in the city. Totally understand why some of our healthcare providers choose to work elsewhere. But how do we address that as a nation? I know that we've had some strategies implemented in the past few years. I think just recently President Nygren did something similar with the vet schools. And they're a provider as well, but for our animal relatives, right? So how do we do that with our providers for our people? Across the nation, you're going to hear a need for nurses. So really excited to kind of work more in this area. We reached out to 2 state programs in the state of Arizona, the Arizona Department of Health Services, really asking them about how do we engage in their state loan repayment program. Most healthcare providers can find options so that they can get their loans repaid. For the Navajo Department of Health, we have not done that yet. So we're really wanting to look into how do we be a part of the state loan repayment program that actually all states have. So right now we're working with Arizona, want to touch base with New Mexico and probably even Utah, so that we can provide an incentive for healthcare providers to work in our facilities, to work in our programs. What the other program that we reached out to was the American Indian Health Area Health Education Center, which is based in Arizona. I was a part of developing that particular program. It took legislation for us to pass in the state of Arizona. It took us 3 years to pass the legislation. But that AHEC really allowed for the agency to focus on tribal populations and on tribal lands so that really we could grow our own healthcare providers. I think we're all very aware of the fact that when we go to our facilities, sometimes we don't see the same healthcare provider. Really because of the high turnover, we don't see the same doctor, we don't see the same nurse, and that really impacts care. And so we're really wanting to move forward and engage in those resources so that we can recruit and train providers. But really what we'd like to strive for is how do we grow our own healthcare providers? How do we grow our own Navajo people so that they can come back and serve us because they're more likely to stay, they're part of the community, they know the language. So just some things that we're working on at the Navajo Department of Health. I do want to say thank you to all of the healthcare providers who serve us today. It takes a huge commitment, not only for themselves to get through their schooling, but then to come back and serve our people. So thank you very much for being committed to our people. And also a special thank you to those healthcare providers who choose to be mentors to the next generation, for all of our really bright students out there who wish to come back and become healthcare providers. So thank you for the time to share a little bit from the Navajo Department of Health today. Thank you.
Yo ho, yo ho.